All right, everybody, want to take a second to talk to you about an amazing sponsor. We have an amazing relationship with RayAllen.com. Ray Allen is a one-stop shop for everything dog, not just working dogs. Everything dog that you need, you can go down there, check them out, RayAllen.com. Awesome people. They got everything you need.
Another one of our favorite partnerships is with Dogtra. They've been with us from the start. Great collars, great ball poppers, great GPS tracking. Big dog, small dog, bark collars, everything. I got everything like that they have at the kennel. We use it every day. Be sure to head them up, dogtra.com. Listen for the discount code later in the episode.
Hey, guys, it's going to happen. August 16th through the 19th. HITS is coming back. The HITS K9 Conference in Orlando, Florida, August 16th through the 19th. Get on there. It's the biggest, the best. Check it out. HitsK9.net. HitsK9.net. Get registered now.
Take the guesswork out of making sure you're feeding your working dog correctly by using Kinetic Dog Food. Hit them up at kineticdogfood.com and look them up on the Instagrams at Kinetic Dog Food. Take all the guesswork out and do it right from the beginning.
We love Horizon Structures. Dude, this stuff is so awesome, man. You can get online. You can talk to them. You could build it you want from mild to wild. They'll come bring it to your place, set it down on your pad, hook up your power, hook up your water, and you can put dogs in it that day. If you don't believe me, check out some guys like Justin Rigney's got a great setup there. Ask him. Check him out, horizonstructures.com.
Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. I am Ted Summers from a seasonably warm Tulsa, Oklahoma. With me, as always, from Canton, Ohio, is Eric Stambro. Eric, I guess winter's there?
Yeah, you know, the worst part of Ohio winter is I don't even mind the snow. It's 40, probably right now, 45, and it's raining. It's this continuous rain that will rain for hours and hours and hours. And it's not a downpour. It's just an annoying, just above a drizzle. It's the worst part of winter, the absolute worst part. But luckily for me, the fun house is heated and dry and been having fun. I have a lot of search and rescue handlers that come and use the fun house because, and I typically don't even charge them because all these dudes and ladies are doing this on their own time, right?
Oh yeah, everything. Search and rescue handlers,
their own dime, their own time. They're looking for places, and then I'm helping them with a little bit, cleaning up a couple things on their finals and stuff with their dogs, but and then just showing them some different stuff. And yesterday, the one guy, and he's coming back tomorrow, we had a hand to hide, and
what? You had a what?
A human hand. He goes, yeah, I got the small one because I said, give me a little bit of odor. We're going to work we wanted to work a little bit focused.
A little bit of odor. Was it a baby hand?
No. That was just they had a jar of something. I don't know what, tissue or whatever. And then he goes, I have a big hide. I go, what is it? He goes, it's a hand. Oh. And the other hand was, oh, you brought the hand. I'm like, oh my God, that fucking hand. So I was like, look, I don't want to hide the hand in the building because anytime they're there and they use HR in the building, it's a couple days to air it out. So we did some stuff.
It's already haunted as fuck. There's already a gravestone in the basement.
Don't forget your hand there. There's enough shit going on. So I took him out. We went, one of the dogs is a tracking dog. A couple of them were trailing dogs. So we went and worked on some of that. But what I did with them was we put the hand, I fucking hate saying that, but we took the hand and we stuck it over off to the side. So where it was at, there was a crosswind going, right? From, say, if you're thinking left to right. And one of the things with the one guy's dog was his starts, because search and rescue handlers and a lot of cop handlers, they have this whole rigid system at the beginning of bring the dog out, down, put this collar, that, whatever. Some dogs, I find that just shoots them through the moon. It's too much.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to change it up a little bit. So I said, all we're going to do is you're going to go from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. The wind is going from 9 to 3 where the odor is pushing it sideways. You're just going to come out with your dog just on a long line, let them walk and sniff all this area. And they're going to get a whiff of this hand that you didn't say anything, and head snap and drag you over to it.
Discovery, baby.
Right. And it worked out really well. I said, now what's going to happen is you do this a few times. Every time you come out of your vehicle, the dog's going to start looking for work. rather than needing this whole big buildup that sets him to where when you tell him to search, he's gone 100 miles an hour, or this particular dog whines and as a shepherd, gets himself all built up and spilled over. So it worked out really well. They liked it. I said, it's just something to add in there every once in a while. And, I showed him how I do tracking, where we might put the harness on the dog, we'll put him back in the truck and then bring him out and let him just start hunting, rather than the whole take him over, lay him down, put a harness on him and start like that. I find for some dogs, our human OCD is a little bit too much for them. So
yeah, they have their own OCD.
Yeah. They don't need ours.
No, they don't.
So what's going on in Tulsa?
I showed up today early this morning, and so when we took possession of this building, there was like an 85-foot tree that looked like it was that looked like there should have been like witches hanging from it. It was creepy, right? So huge tree. So they cut it down and they had a stump there. But anyway, we're going to get ready to strip all the yard down and put a bunch of concrete outside for the working dogs. And there was still a stump. Well, the stump kept growing. So my landlord shows up today with a backhoe and a bulldozer. And I show up and it looks like there's a fucking car bomb that went off in my front yard. And they're pulling this stump out. And I mean, it was massive. I mean, it was the size of my Pathfinder, my Nissan Pathfinder. It was huge. And I was like, all right, well, I mean, then they had it filled back in and then they retrenched it. So we have a big sign out in front of the building that they ran power to today. So they dug this huge trench. And my intern, Kevin, is a great dude, but he wasn't paying attention and lights aren't on out there. And he's walking around out there with a Shar-Pei we're training. And both of them motherfuckers fell into the trench. Just disappeared. I mean, it's just deep. I was like, well, I mean, you'll be all right. Okay, you're fine. You'll be all right. How's the dog?
Yeah.
But
right.
Before we started recording, I got 3 dogs coming in from Holland next week, assuming that Omicron doesn't shut us down. We finally entered the phase of COVID where everything sounds like a transformer. So hopefully the transformer variant doesn't shut us down before we can get the dog shipped, and we'll see. So I got 2 duels and a single coming in, and I've already got 2 duels that we're tracking. If you were on Instagram today, it would have been December 1st. Like you would have seen, I was out tracking with the 2 patrol dogs this morning in the unseasonably warm weather. That you're not. It was 75 degrees today and sunny, no wind. It was awesome. Yeah. So who do we have going? What do we have going on tonight?
So tonight we have a guest on. Again, this will be out of the last 3, the second one that's currently a handler. We wanted to really try to get into guys that were still handling and doing training and working dogs every day on the street. And I just happened to be having a conversation with our friend Justin Rigney. He's like, hey, you got to have this guy Todd on. And I knew who he was. We had talked a couple of years ago, and he's related to a good friend of ours, and we have a lot of mutual friends. So we jumped on it real quick to get him on because we want to talk about building searches as part of this, and something we haven't really had an episode where a whole segment of it was specifically about building searches. So that's pretty cool. I see on a lot of the online forums and stuff, a lot of people ask questions about building searches.
Yeah.
The tactical stuff, or why does my dog run to just take off running and always go to the end of the hallway, and just little things.
And the thing you just mentioned about the fucking police or about the search and rescue dogs, like how many people's dogs freak out when you say random police K9, make yourself known, and dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and there's just a lot of this, like anything, and we'll talk to Todd and he'll get into it. The systems, if you're a thinker in K9 and you're trying to get better at all the time, you're going to come up with training solutions and training techniques and handling techniques based off of successes and failures. Things that work, things that don't work, things that work for you, that might not work for others, but what have you seen that worked? So we brought him on, Todd. He is from East Hartford, Connecticut PD. It's a very busy, that whole area over there is busy. It's a lot like my agency in Canton, kind of just a hotbed of crime. There's a lot of that on the East Coast, man, a lot. And so he's currently a handler. He's on a second dog. We'll get into that a little bit. Very busy. place over there. He'll be teaching at Blue Line this year. So welcome, Todd Mona. Todd, how are you, buddy?
Good. Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. That's I'm going to read off a couple of things, but that is a shitload of awards in the back there. You look like some Heisman Trophy winner's house, like like everything in the back. I like it. So over in East Hartford, you guys have a lot of you guys do, of course, all the work on the street, but you also do a lot of competition, and there's a lot of recognition and a lot of pride taken in, which takes a lot of time. Let's get into a little bit, talk about your history from getting on the police department and where you're at, and we'll talk about your first dog and who you're currently working.
Sure. So I got hired at 21, right out of college, and I went to school up in Boston, and I thought I was going to get hired up there and start taking some tests up there, and I got hired pretty much really quick with East Hartford. And East Hartford, I knew nothing about police work before going to college, but I did know that the only thing about East Hartford was their K9 program. And so I was like, oh, I got hired there, and that's kind of what I wanted to do back in 2002. And I had done an internship with the Connecticut State Police, so I'd spent some time with their K9 Academy. And I was like, yeah, I could see myself doing that totally. 2006, dog came up into my agency. There was like 20 of us that tried out for it. And I had been doing a couple things to weasel my way into the unit, which if there's anybody out there listening, that's what you got to do. If you really want something, you got to weasel your way, and you got to annoy the guys. Be like, hey, can I run you a track? Can I take some bites? Do what you do to get involved, so that before you ever have the opportunity to try out for a dog or get a dog, you have a basic understanding of it, and you're committed. You're going to be committed to what's involved, because I think a lot of guys, especially nowadays, right? Now with Instagram and TikTok and all this other shit out there, I mean, swipe, fuck, all that shit. Like now you get the instant fame, and there was no real going out and earning it and making sure like it was for what you wanted to do. And I think the social media has maybe pulled in a lot of candidates that aren't necessarily true. At least that's what we're seeing up in our neck of the woods. So get yourself involved. I did, I watched guys' dogs when they went on vacation. I developed part of our policy where I was like going out of town with the guys. So if we got called to a neighboring jurisdiction, boom, I'd be there, run a track with them as their backup. We had a couple instances where our guys ended up by themselves on gun calls because the other town couldn't keep up. And there's no radio communication, where Connecticut's all these little small towns, old New England style, right? But you would think we'd be able to communicate with each other with the town neighboring you, but we can't. It's like you're on your own little island. So yeah, I'd done some things, helped those guys train whenever I could. And dog came up in 06, tried out, came out number 1, got the dog. And I feel like I've been rocking and rolling ever since, man. I just kind of a nerd for the stuff, live and breathe it. It's just the way I am, I guess.
So I'll tell you this, when you tried out, how many dogs did you guys have at the time on the unit?
We actually went up to 4 for a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm in like 140 agency, I think. And we're only 18 square miles, but like 10 of that is like livable. The rest is like the old Pratt and Whitney and then Connecticut River marshland type. So it's condensed. There's a lot of people right on top of one another building, apartment buildings and stuff like that. But, all the towns that border us around us, they got, 120 guys to our left, 400 to our right. So, small land wise, but you got a lot of cops and a lot of heavily populated areas. So we had 4 dogs, but then all our neighboring jurisdictions also have dogs.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why I asked that was 20 people to try out for one spot in a dog unit says a lot about the reputation of the dog program at that time. My old unit, it's been up and down. We've had, where we had shitloads of guys try out. And then we had a little while where only a few guys would try out, and it had nothing to do with the dogs and the guys. It had to do with who was leading. So in a unit, in a department where the K9, a lot of people want to be in K9, where you can't get any candidates or nobody really tries out. It says a lot about who's in charge. They don't want to work for them, or maybe the reputation of the unit. So getting in there, 20 dudes trying out for one spot, that's a pretty impressive amount. Fuck, you probably can't even get 20 guys now to try out to get on the police department, since the numbers have dwindled so bad on that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I believe Primo is your first dog. Let's kind of get into him, talk about Primo, breed, temperament, just things you really like. A couple things looking back now are a pain in the ass. And it looks to me like you guys had a hell of a career and pretty badass in the Connecticut Police K9 Olympics.
Yeah, we had a really good career. It was painstaking. Your first dog, you're starting to learn everything from scratch. Fortunately, like I said, I came from a K9 unit that, just absolutely crushed it. The other guys had just as many bites as I did, almost. Some of them had more, and they were just crushing it. They won all those same awards I did. So I had some big shoes to fill, and honestly, that was kind of like a motivator. So I knew I had to produce, because you can't fake K9. You know what I mean? You can't. I tell every new guy that you can't fake this. So what you put into it is what you got to get out of it. You know what I mean? You can do all the Instagram, all that crap, but like you can't fake your stats, and you can't fake your fines and bites. So Primo was basically a Schutzen dog that came over from one of the clubs and to our vendor. And we looked at a lot of dogs. We actually looked at dogs, I think, 2 or 3 times, batches. Not just going and looking at it. I'm talking batches. So we went through like 30 dogs. We have our own little in-house testing sheet we go through. We rate all the dogs. We're pretty thorough. And Primo did really well. Took him home. I just remember driving home to my house, and we didn't have cages back then. And I'm just looking over on my shoulder, and he's just slobbering on me. And I had only met him for about, an hour that day so far.
He's loose in your car?
Yeah, no cages, man.
Nope.
Yeah, believe me, we got a cage pretty quick. We had a pursuit, and
shocking.
My sergeant was it was a daytime pursuit right after roll call, and I'll never forget it. My sergeant literally went upstairs to the chief's wing, and he goes, "I watched Mona holding that dog's collar, transmitting, driving, just because that dog would end up in the windshield. He'd put his front legs in the dash, and nose up against that windshield. We just had so many pursuits back then that he knew what was coming. So yeah, that was a struggle, but he was a natural tracker. If that to me was his best quality, he was just a natural tracker. He taught me more than I taught him when it came to tracking. And we had some, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we had some real problems. He was fine with gunfire when we tested him, and even doing some in-house stuff. We usually did about 4 weeks of in-house prep work before we do an academy. And when we were at the academy, gunfire was introduced incorrectly, and it made everlasting scars on my dog. And I had a gun shy dog, and here I am in an agency where I was like, there's a very good chance that we're gonna see something in our career. And sure enough, we did. And now I have a gun shy dog, and I went as far as I could go to try to figure out the problem with guys that I didn't even train with, like that were willing to help me out. And that's kind of why I do the things that I do now, is always willing to help somebody else out with a problem, because I went to people with problems and kind of they took it on as their own, just trying to help me out for for good versus evil versus bad cops versus bad guys out there. So, but the gun shy issue was our biggest issue. And that's why I'm so OCD and so in depth with the gunfire now. I don't know if you guys saw some of our videos that we posted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's only scratching the surface. But yeah, I was really worried. And one thing about that dog was if he was in drive, he had auditory exclusion, so he didn't hear the fucking gunshots. So he knew he was going to bite, and he can get a bite. He didn't care about the gunfire. But if you were doing any neutrality exercise or just fireworks, it was like, fuck, see you later, Dad, I'm out. I didn't want that. So that was our biggest uphill battle. But all in all, he was a phenomenal dog. We had a lot of bites, a ton of fines, a lot of awards. Just an all around good dog. You couldn't ask for a better dog to just for a first time handler. Just as working cohesively together, I guess.
Yeah, and you, what is the drug of choice in East Hartford?
Without a doubt, fentanyl. And it's
Really?
not even heroin anymore. So we just got a briefing or something from the DEA the other day that how many overdoses came from marijuana because they laced it with fentanyl.
Yeah. When you first got in, was it heroin the big deal there? Because where crack is always in Canton.
Yeah,
it
crack
still is. It's crack.
Crack's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, it crack.
It's still meth here. It's
still no matter what. It's
the state bird. Like
the crack created dog calls. Meth creates dog calls. Heroin creates dead bodies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ain't getting dog calls on heroin.
No, not going to that. It's funny because there's a area where I go tracking all the time. They call it a nature reserve. I don't know what it is. It's a county park, but it's right at the edge of a pretty rough area in Canton. And I was just there tracking yesterday. Every time I go there, there's someone sleeping in their car. And I always go up and look to see if they're out on heroin. And they might be. But the other day, the guys showed up out there, and there's a guy passed out in his car. They go look, and they're like, it's probably heroin. What it actually was, he was completely passed out. He had a rubber band around his balls and cock, and it was out cold, looked gray. Woke up, hey guys, got in his car, drove off with his dick hanging out. So, welcome to the city. Yeah. So, so one of the things I'm looking at when we're looking at your bio here is that you guys competed in the Connecticut Police K9 Olympics. It looks like you guys have got with Primo. We'll talk about him first. Pretty good amount of success in that. My question is, and so Canton, we host the Police Olympics. The Ohio Police Games are held in Canton now every year, every other year, maybe every couple years. And there's a K9 thing. And we have a lot of guys in our training group, right? Like 38, 39 guys. 3 or 4 of them compete. The rest of them have good dogs, man. And they're all super shy about it. What do you see? Why is it, guys don't want to put themselves out there? Maybe that's the answer.
I don't know if it's, I think, well, I could say this. I know it's on the handler end. It ain't on the dog end. Mm-hmm. And I think guys just don't know how to deal with coming in towards the bottom or last. You know what I mean? And they may worry about how it reflects upon them and their agency and so forth. But my thing is you have to take yourself out of your comfort zone. Like that guy you just found in the park with the thing around his balls. That's putting yourself out there, right? Out of his comfort zone.
Putting yourself.
So,
that's true.
Out in public,
yeah. But that's, it's things like that where you can grow. Like I almost came out to Ohio to do that. Michael Garber, put it out there to me, and I really wanted to go, but I just had too much other seminars and workshops going on this summer, and I headed down to Greenville, South Carolina for some stuff, and North Carolina this summer. So I was pretty much packed, but I really wanted to do it because the more competitions you can do, you're either going to find your strengths and you're going to find your weaknesses. You're where you need to improve and where you can stop working so hard at and focus on the things that you need to. And I think that sometimes guys just worry about shit, I'm going to expose myself and I'm going to find a problem I'm going to have to deal with. So, dealing with problems is what makes you better, man. I mean, that's how you succeed.
Yeah, it's funny because so the agency Akron, which is just 20 minutes north of Canton, it's a much bigger agency, but they host a competition every year, and we would go up and compete in it. I competed one year, but my one buddy Greg that was a handler for a while, he had a dog named Primo, actually. Of oddly enough, I said, "Here's the thing, dude." He goes, "I don't know if I want to do it," because I said, if you go do it, and the problem with him was going to be obedience, right? Dog's a good obedient dog, no problems. However, the place is surrounded by human beings, like up against the fence.
Yep.
And Primo had street bites and whatever. And I'm like, if your dog messes up the obedience, don't flip out on him. You just have to, it's whatever, dude. No one gives a shit. In reality, no one cares. You care, and it bothers you, but shrug your shoulders, laugh it off, whatever. And sure enough, that's what happened. The dog, he made first turn, dog was good. Second turn, dog was walking off, and and he got him back, but he did it a couple of times. Oh well. But then the dog killed some other things, and we ended up having a good time. I think you probably try it. Now, on the converse of that, Ted and I did a seminar in Louisiana, and there was a group of handlers there that their entire job depends on how well they do at a USPCA certificate or competition.
Try.
Yep.
Bring trophies back or you're out. And that's bad. That's not, and I don't, in my opinion, I think you're then focusing, because it's an area, it was a department that had a rough time. So anyways, real quick, you have a listed 3-time Daniel Wasson Memorial K9 Award. Who is that? Daniel Wasson. Can you tell us his story a little bit?
Yeah, Daniel Wasson was, I'm not sure of the year exactly. I know it was early 80s. But he was a K9 handler in Milford, and we used to, back in the day, before the hot and pop and all that, we used to leave our dogs at the window. And so if you had a car stop and you ended up struggling with somebody, the dog would just jump out the window and, come and assist you in the fight. So his dog apparently liked to jump out maybe a little early, you know what I mean? Probably did it one too many times where, the dog was just anticipating getting in, any interaction was going to be a bite. So one day he left the window up, and that was the wrong call to leave the window up, and he was shot and killed. So, but they have an award in Connecticut in his honor. And it's basically, who has the best street performance, of the year, most severe call that you produced on, and so forth. So,
how many agencies participate in that?
So it's for all of Connecticut. And
shit.
Yeah, I think I know in CPWDA, we got Connecticut Police Work Dog. I think we got about 225 patrol dogs roughly. And then you have a lot of non-members, state police. There's some troopers in it, but not always. And then there's some people that aren't members. But there's probably like 300 patrol dogs, if I had to guess, in Connecticut. So the pool's pretty big for it.
That's huge. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is that a certifying body too?
CPWDA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do certifications and stuff?
Yeah, we have basically, we actually, we're going to update it a little bit. It initially was meant to mirror Napa WADA standards. And over the years, we had a couple changes with Napa WADA recently. So we just have to go into our bylaws and vote on that and then just make those changes. So, but I'd like to carry a state and then a national standard. It's just, when you go to court and you sit in the hot seat for a little bit, it's just nicer to have two.
Connecticut, you guys have a mandatory standard? I don't remember if you're one of the 10.
No.
Okay. Yeah, there's
they offer it, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
Not mandatory. We not like you're talking Florida, I think Washington State, right? The states that have their own crew. through
South
Utah.
Carolina. Yeah. I don't even think Utah is mandatory. It's their post is. I don't remember if it is or not. Ohio.
Yeah, Utah has to do it through their post, I believe.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
And then Oklahoma, we have cleat, so we have to do on here too. So yeah, because I know there's only 10, but a lot of times, so we can do that conversation. I had the conversation today. I talked to a sheriff, under sheriff today, and they were asking about certification, and I told them the same thing. I was like, you're statutorily required to get a state, but I was like, just do the national anyway, and I will train it to that standard. Which I mean, the state mirrors the standard, the national anyway. And I was like, so they'll just do both. They're like, oh, it's a really good idea. I'm like, and you should probably write that down as a policy. They're like, oh, it's a really good idea also. I'm like, I'm full of those. So yeah, you should do that too. So
yeah, we're going to try to get on board with staggering them too. Cause 6 months and 6 months, just in case you miss one and overlaps, guys get injured, whatever the case is. Just, I think nationally, to protect the industry, I think that'd be a good thing for everybody to be doing.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do that, and this is what when I first met Mike Garber, I'm talking about Garber, his agency was you had to do the Ohio and you had to do NAPWDA. And my suggestion to them was, why don't you change NAPWDA to national certification? Because it's not going to happen, but what if NAPWDA folded, or what if they came out with some new rule that's so ridiculous and has nothing to do with Ohio and everything? It's to just make it national. Don't marry yourself to one particular certifying body just in case. You never know. You might never change. You might stay with that whatever group forever. But then what if there's just a bunch of politics and shit that happens? You don't like the way things went, and maybe they are advertising in a sex offenders magazine or something similar to that, and you don't agree with that, and you want to try to get away from that type of stuff. Then you're not married to that, and then you can maybe look around for a different certifying body. So you worked with Primo. It looks like a long time, like 9 years on the road.
Yeah, 06 to I put Cassis. I did my academy in 2016. So he did 10 years on the road, and I actually brought him back because he was still certified when Cassis was on the road his first year, and Cassis ended up getting bloat. And I was like, well, fuck it. I'm like, the old man sitting at home, and I'm like, he still got it. So I brought him to work, and for about a month, and no joke, he still had it. We didn't get a bite, but we had a good. I remember we had a good armed robbery track, and we found fucking money and a mask, and they ran through a wooded section to get to another street where obviously they had a car waiting, but. Yeah, I brought him back. So, I mean, just for a little tiny bit. So he did 10 years on the road, and knock on wood, Cassis is, he's going to be turning 8 in 2022. So that's good. So when you brought the old man back, did he have to clean up the pipes and get that bark back, or was it a little gravelly? Yeah.
A little different?
No, just like me. It's fucking all scratchy and everything,
Sound like a fucking sea lion. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So he's retired, and we're going to get into a couple very specific calls on our second half here. But before we go on a break, I want to get into Cassis a little bit. Talk about him. You already said how long you've been around with him. When you went through academy with him, is Cassis what breed is he? So dad is from Holland, Windsor, Connecticut. That dog since passed. His name was Iko. I was wicked fond of this dog. He was this shepherd that had the head the size of a cane corso. I mean, it was huge. Mm-hmm. And he had this ball drive that was just sick. How you see it a lot more now because we're dealing with, we're just getting better and better genetics. Right. But that dog, when if that ball slipped out of his mouth, I mean, dude, I watched him take people's legs out because it accidentally came out of his mouth. I watched him smack his head into, one of those concrete columns just to get the ball back in his mouth and cut his eye and didn't even think twice about it. You know what I mean? And I was like, shit, that's impressive. I'm like, I wanted to get a dog where, I can manipulate and motivate with just having used the ball. Cause back in 2006, we were doing everything,
more so compulsion. We weren't necessarily rewarding at the most opportune time. We did some dumb shit, like I'm talking trip lines on his fucking lower abdomen, plus his, on a flat collar just to slow him down, to do the recall. And like, we were like, what the fuck are we thinking? I mean, we were literally experimenting. And some of those weren't my doings. I'll be honest. Some of them were, but most of them weren't. I was told to do it, but I wanted a dog that I knew that I can make do just about anything with, a ball, and it'd be fun for him. So I had Iko mate with a female from Czech up in, mom was from the bitch was from up in Amherst, Mass. My friend Laura had done a couple litters with them, and real good success. That they had some dogs up in like Vermont, New Hampshire area, and Cassis was like the best one of the litter. We did all those little tests, and he was supposed to walk away and come back, and always just doing everything that the top dog in the litter should be doing. So I was like, good, we'll give it a shot. So I literally threw him in the back with Primo at 8 weeks old, and he grew up in that back seat with him. So he came to work with me every day, and we raised him. I did a ton of shit every day, happy stuff. And he's where he is today. In fact, we just got a new puppy like 2 months ago. We're doing the same thing for our next handler. So
that's pretty progressive thinking or on whoever you answer to allow that. Most places won't do it. If I raised a puppy and I went to many departments, said, hey, I got a puppy, can I put him in the car with me? And we're gonna do this and raise him up. A lot of them would say no, because they would think you're up to something.
No, that's true. We had to battle that.
Yeah. What are you up to? What do you mean? What am I up to? That's very presumptuous that you would have another dog. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, we dealt that big time.
And now you have success. Yeah. Hopefully we kind of get past that. So you guys are rocking and rolling. Again, doing some competitions, getting in the Police Olympics. Sounds like you're kicking ass in that. Says you competed in 2016, the Cabela's Police K9 competition. Where was that at?
So we have a Cabela's store in East Hartford, and they would always do like 2 or 3 demos a year for them. And one of them was the police and military, like big sale they have. I think it was like in October or something. I forget what holiday it was around, but we used to do that for them. And then they had a new manager come in, and we had just finished up, or I had just finished up doing the academy. And then I was like, well, I'm like, I got all these young dogs. I mean, I'd like to, how about we just do host, because it's got a big parcel of land right there. I'm like, how about we just do a competition the whole day here and turn it into an event? And it was crazy, man, because I had like 30 dogs, I think, come down that first year. And it was like, we had a dog from, I didn't even know, it was either Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket. Like, I didn't even know they had dogs, and, we just dogs from everywhere. It was like New York, Massachusetts and stuff. So, and it was a success. It was cold as fuck. It was the first weekend in October, and it was like 40 degrees and one of those rainy, cold days like you were talking about. It was like a nor'easter. And it was miserable, but we got through it, and it was fun. And then I had the Hometown Foundation, which is one of the largest foundations in the country. They do the Dream Ride for the Special Olympics. They're also based out of Connecticut. And somebody happened to be at Cabela's that day and saw it. And they're like, whoa, let's get in touch with these guys and see if we can move this to the Dream Ride, because the Dream Ride's got all these celebrities and millionaires that come with their Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and they raise insane amount of money for Special Olympics. And they asked us to do to fill a time slot on the Farmington Polo Grounds, and we did it, and it was a blast. It was a huge success. It was one of the only times that Boston PD competed against NYPD. So that was really cool. Again, those numbers were getting up to like 20. This year we had 33. And I tried capping it, but I have a hard time saying no to people. But And then they've hosted it every year for us. And if anybody's out there that's listening and needs some dogs, they've been buying free dogs all around the country, because I want to say in 2016 or 15, dog in Wethersfield, Connecticut, which is the next town over from us, on an area search was killed. And it kind of pulled on some heartstrings, and they went and raised money. So now their two things are Special Olympics and Police K9. And they'll do everything from buy hot and pops to equipment to dogs. They got dogs. They bought 3 dogs, I think, now out in New Mexico, because they've taken advantage of it. They go through the process. It's not a lengthy process at all. And those guys from New Mexico all came out every year to compete in the competition. They literally drive out here every year, because we host a training day on a Friday too. It's free. They put it all on. Of course, usually we'll have some trainers from the New England area come in, put on different classes, and then the competition's on Saturday.
What it's Hometown? Is that what you said it was?
Yeah,
called?
the Hometown Foundation. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, their website, and then you just click the link for Police K9, and you can basically get in touch with them, and all the information's right there.
We'll have to put them in the show notes. We're always trying to help. A lot of people just are always asking, how do I get it? I have no money. We have no money, nothing. Need a dog. And, prices aren't going down. Ted and you can attest to that from being a trainer. Shipping costs went up, costs of dogs went up, costs of it just is more expensive. So before we take our first break, I want to touch on something real quick. So Cassis has been cross-trained now in firearms detection the last few years. Sounds like you guys been doing really well with have over a dozen guns recovered. Talk real quick about a little bit of misnomers about what some people think. If I'm going to cross-train them for gun detection, I'm just going to teach the dog how to find gunpowder. Mm-hmm. And some people are like, I just use human odor. We just use it for that. When you got into the guns, what break that down, how that looks like when you're cross-training him for that? Sure.
So Bill Scribner, Napawata master trainer, he's also patrol narcotics and explosive. He's been in the game for I think 35 years now. So when I wanted to get him cross-trained, I actually wanted to get Primo cross-trained, and we never did, because I don't think they wanted to find guns back in the day. But now it's it's killing our society. It really is. Innocent people getting shot. It's absurd. So the more guns we can get off the street, they're easy sell. But Bill was like, Todd, just go through a whole entire explosive class, so you learn everything from soup to nuts. And if there's, we started his foundation with, I think we bought 6 different types of powders, and that's what we basically imprinted on. And we went from there, just because they're, it flows downhill from there. But that's how we did it. And I'm glad I went through it just to do the whole process, because I feel like I have a much better understanding of it. And I always was, I don't know, depending on who's doing the training and such, is, you want to just make sure that the dog is, going to be passive, not mouth stuff. So it was a lot more in depth than I thought it was going to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be like, the dog's going to, go and alert on this, and, it's going to be real easy. And boy, was I wrong, because, you take a super high drive dog, and now you're trying to teach him to be calm, because the last thing I want my dog to do is go and pick up a gun in his mouth. And, God forbid it goes off and stuff. But, so that's basically how we did it. We did the full explosive class, and, from there, in my opinion, it's got to make it easier for the dog, but that's just me.
Yeah. When I first got into K9 05, we were, doing USPCA type standards. And at the time, article searches was a retrieve. The dog would go out, get the article, bring it back, spit it, flip into a finish, go out, same thing over and over again. So my first dog, Gina, we're tracking an armed robbery, and we're going along, and she dives into a bush and comes out with the gun.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, jumping around. She's holding this damn thing. I'm like, I'm going to get shot by my own dog out here. This is ridiculous. So then fast forward like another year or so, my buddy Ryan, his first dog found 2 guns where he picked them up. And then you're putting dog DNA on a gun. You're maybe licking off DNA, because we're finding guns that were just used is the main reason why we're getting called out for this stuff. Thankfully, we quit doing that, and we taught them to down on articles. But I don't know of anybody who's been shot by their own dogs, but I don't want to be that guy. The first one.
If you're listening to this and you know somebody that has, let me know.
Yeah, please.
Because I would want to talk to them.
Yeah, dog went on a shooting rampage. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. That was a pretty good long segment. We get back. We have a couple crazy stories with how we're going to get into, and then we're going to talk up some training so y'all learn some shit. So stick around, check out the show notes for the discount codes if you miss them, and we'll be right back.
HITS K9 Training Conference. This is America's premier canine training seminar, packed to the brim with the world's best instructors and me and Eric, all covering important topics. There's no better place to learn and no better place to network with other handlers, breeders, and trainers. HITS 2022 is being held in Orlando, Florida this year, August 16th through the 19th. And I know how you guys are. Everybody waits at the last minute. And in the post-Rona world, everybody's training budgets are being cut and everybody's deciding whether they're going to be able to get to go or not. So don't wait, because they're not going to have an infinite number of spots, and the price goes up after a certain date. So get signed up as soon as possible. It's in Orlando. We'll see you there. Be sure to hit them up. HITS K9, letter K, number 9.net.
One of the best relationships we have in this podcast and in this industry is with the great people down at Kinetic Dog Food. The story of Kinetic Performance Dog Food is pretty simple. They wanted to make a better premium dog food for the dogs that need it the most. Their goal is to give every working and sporting dog a higher energy level, better performance, and better overall health through superior nutrition. So they formulated a line of food based on what they considered to be the optimal profile of a performance dog. They've done tons of research on this. This isn't their first rodeo. These guys know what they're doing. If you're a kennel, they will come to your kennel. They will see the problems that you have. They will check out what works for the dogs that you have. They're amazing people to work with. They drop ship a pallet right to you if you want. I know a lot of guys that use them. There's a bunch of different formulas on there, and 32K might not be for your dogs. Maybe the 26K works. They can adjust it. They'll give you the right ideas what to do in different parts of the year. Winter's different than summer. It's really a well-run, good dog food company. KineticDogFood.com. Be sure to check them out on social media too, man. They're amazing folks. KineticDogFood.com.
By now, you've probably all heard my story at least once. I'm usually getting tagged by dogs or hurting myself. So this next product is like near and dear to me because I actually use it. Quick Turn by Vet Care. It does great for keeping small things from turning into big ones. I use it at the kennel for clients' dogs that have some issues with skin stuff or have food allergies or have environmental allergies. Works great. Keeps hot spots from making giant hot spots. And it keeps my working dogs, who inevitably find magnificent ways to hurt themselves, from turning it into a giant vet visit. Stops little issues from becoming big ones. So it comes in a spray, it comes in an ointment, comes in a dressing. It's great for creating a protective barrier and promoting wound healing. You really only have to use it like once a day. So there's no reason not to have it in the vehicle. Since it's temperature stable, you don't got to worry about it getting hot, getting cold, or anything like that. So put it in your first aid kit or put it in your cabinet. Vetcare.us on the internet. Quick Derm by Vet Care on on Instagram and on Facebook, and then hit them up with the discount code 10WDR for 10% off your first order.
So my entire time that I was a handler or a trainer in law enforcement, the cars at my department, in the departments that I trained, all had American aluminum accessory kennels in the cars. Different cars, man. Dodge Chargers, all Ford models, some Chevys, SUVs, cars, everything. We loved American aluminum accessories. It's a great product, a great company. They've been serving canine law enforcement community for over 20 years. If you check out their website, EZ, that's the letter Z, ezrideronline.com. They got testimonials. They got videos on how to. They got a list of everything they have. Just today, we made a post on the Working Dog Radio social media showing a dog that survived a really bad crash because of the American aluminum kennel in the back of the car. Check them out online, guys. EasyRiderOnline.com. Just let them do their thing, man. Whatever car you got for your work, your patrol car, get a hold of them, American Aluminum Accessories, and get the best in the business.
Next up comes training courses online from our friends down at Highland K9 Training, Jason and Aaron Ferguson. So in the post-Rona world, training budgets have been getting cut. People aren't going to be able to travel, whether it be instructors or they be K9 handlers and supervisors going somewhere else for training. So Highland has announced a lot of online training courses. One of those that sticks out to me is their police supervisor K9 course. And it's no secret that one of the problems with K9 tends to be some of the supervision issues. This course is specifically designed for administrators and covers utilization as well as liability and FLSA issues. The course can be taken at your convenience, and you'll receive a certificate of completion at the end. When you go to Tactical Police K9 Training, that's letter K number 9, training.com, and use the discount code WDR30, you'll get 30% off of that course.
All right, we are back. Don't fast forward through those. You probably did. If you didn't, then great. You know the discount codes. If you don't inbox me on Instagram and ask me what they are. And I say that, and I think people do it just to make me mad. Like, I swear I had like 6 people inbox me the other day, and they're like, "What's the discount code for this?" I'm like, I don't fucking know. Listen to the show notes. Listen to the show notes. That's why we do the commercials. Don't fast forward through the commercials. So we're here with Todd Mona from East Hartford, Connecticut, talking about the 2 dogs he ran. We're going to get into some of the deployment stories before we do some of the building search stuff. He was an instructor at Blue. I actually met him at Blue Line when I was up there instructing, or in St. Louis, I think that's where it was, where there was a shooting outside the hotel the night I got there. So that was spicy. It's going to be in Pennsylvania. This shouldn't be in Pittsburgh. So in April, I think is, what is it, the 26th to 28th or something? Yeah, that's right, 26th to 28th. But yeah,
we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be up there doing the dog and pony show, doing some interviews and stuff. So, Todd, Cassius is a dual purpose dog for apprehension tracking and as well as firearms detection. So we talked a little about it before the break. So you have been involved in some interesting calls involving shootings with the dog. So, one of the things that Eric is always talking about, some of the seminars and some of the other stuff, is don't get shot holding your leash, and dog calls are not gun calls. So talk a little bit about the times that these two worlds have collided.
Yeah, I mean, if there's some things that I can tell you, I'm going to make sure I tell you my mistakes so that listeners don't make them. So hopefully we're all away from the way things were, like, back when Eric and I were handling dogs, 10, 12, 15 years, 16 years ago now almost, because I don't know how it was in other parts of the country, but like K9 and tactics just weren't being married enough. When you were on the dog call, it was kind of like, I felt like a long time ago, it was more like high speed. And now I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just because you know more and you've grown older and wiser, or you're getting older and your testosterone's been lower. But I feel like things are able to be slowed down on our end intentionally, and to be able to think and rely on your training and be safer. So, I mean, I've been on 4 police shootings now. The first one by far was the worst, and that was the one where I was directly involved in and where I had to shoot. But I should have known better going there. It was just a weird call. It was domestic, but the guy called and said he was going to kill his girlfriend or whatever. So the cops better come. And when we got there and we heard the girl screaming from outside the apartment, all the doors were locked, and we were in the projects. And basically row houses. So we kicked in the back door because we thought he was killing her. And he was just standing at the top of the staircase with his fists clenched. And he had just a pair of gym shorts on. That's it. And she was in the bedroom behind him. So I was like, well, you know, he's not listening to any of our commands, nothing. I mean, back in 2000, that was in 2009. I mean, in 2009, we probably only had a few tasers on the road. I don't even know if it would have hit him. I think we only had 15 footers back then or something. But anyways, you know, I gave him my announcements. We tried talking to him, and I sent the dog, and dog went up the stairs, and there was only one light on in the whole fucking place. And it was the one standing right above his head. And I remember having a hard time seeing him because his head was blocking the view of the light. So I was getting a lot of shadow. And then there was flashlights on him, of course, but it was intermittent. And then, so I deployed the dog, and I went and did his job and ran up those slippery wooden stairs and took him. And I made the mistake of running right up after my dog, like you do in training, and instead of staying behind cover. And we were always deploying back then with no leash, no harness. Bulletproof vests were, you know, 80 pounds. They weighed as much as your dog, and they were almost useless. They would have slowed your dog down. He would have been able just to probably pick my dog up and throw him back down the stairs because of how cumbersome they were. But I ran up and I went to, you know, give him the old Rocky Balboa. And just as I reached the second to last step, I couldn't. It got dark again, and I heard the switch. He actually had a switchblade where you press the button, and the knife comes out. And then I just heard the dog yelp, and I was like, "Shit!" And then so I was like, "He's got a knife," and we're up on this 3x3 landing or 4x4 landing outside two little bedrooms and a bathroom. So I didn't know where to go. One door's closed. You can't run into the bathroom because that was where his back was. Excuse me. So there was just one other door, and the light, like I said, the light was off. And luckily I was able to make my way to my left, which is where that door was. And he jumped over my dog. Luckily, Primo came back and took him in the back. And that was probably the only thing that slowed him down, because he turned and swung again. And then he just immediately turned and came at me. And if you can imagine, I mean, there's absolutely nowhere. And it's weird because when you're involved in a police shooting, everyone's like, it slows down, you know, you get auditory exclusion. And like, I don't know, I felt like everything was just as real as it would be normally. But one thing I do remember was feeling the wind from his arm when he tried stabbing me across my face. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for the messy, cluttered ghetto apartment, I tripped over baby toys and then a futon mattress on the floor. And that's what caused me to, when I was backpedaling, to go backwards. And he wasn't able to get the knife any closer at that point because I was able to get rounds down. But it was so close that he had muzzle flash on his chest. Oh, so yeah. I remember that. Unfortunately, in the heap of things, one of my backup officers came up and tried helping me out and laid down a round or two, and I got hit in the crossfire. So it ended up shattering my femur. It hit me square, went through my left leg, shattered my right leg. And I got to be honest, it was my left leg that was hurting because it canoed it open like a V. And I'm looking at my right leg when now the lights came on. It's like, you know, and I was just like, that's a lot of meat. It looks like a dog bite on my right leg, but that was all from my left leg. So, yeah, it was, so I, you know, now you can imagine my dog stabbed. I don't really know where he is. Now everyone's rushing into the room. One officer grabbed the knife, the suspect's knife, and, you know, took that away. And I had to tend to myself a little bit, and one of the guys was a little shooken up, and he couldn't get my knife open, so I asked my knife from him and cut off my pant legs to see if I needed to do a tourniquet, and I was like, no, I'm good. And then I had my wits and whereabouts to get on the air and say, hey, did anybody know where my dog is? And one guy on the perimeter is like, hey, he's at your car and he's bleeding. So I, on the air, I said, all right, get him to Bolton Vet. That's who we use. And I said to dispatch, I said, get on the phone with Bolton, telling him my dog's been stabbed 3 times. I didn't know how many times he'd been stabbed, but he'd been stabbed 3. He got stabbed twice in the head and 1 right between the shoulder blades. Oh. So luckily his cranium pushed 1 down throughout his ear or something. Then the skull stopped the other one, and the one in between his shoulder blades missed his spinal cord by like a fraction. Any closer, he would have probably just been paralyzed. So they were able to get him the call ahead to Bolton. They were expecting him. Of course, there was a blizzard that night, so everything took a lot longer. It took like the dog probably an extra like 15 minutes to get to the vet. It took an extra 10 minutes to get me to the hospital, and yeah, it was not a good night. And then but got to try to make the best of it. So there was some uncertainty. Doctors didn't know. I have a metal rod in my leg, and like my right femur is about a little over an inch shorter.
I was going to say, did you lose any height on that femur?
Yeah, and I don't have much height left to lose. I'm a short little Italian guy, so I'm a little pissed off about that. So, yeah. But no, it's pretty cool. Nike actually makes a insert for my police boots.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they have out in, I think it's Oregon. They have a unit or department that will help out military and law enforcement that if you're ever injured. And I didn't know that about them. I forget who turned me on to that, but they did. And they made me an insert where it fits right into my Nike sneakers, my Nike police boots, and it's like the best thing. It's like I don't even know that I'm off height wise. So yeah, so the one takeaway is stand behind cover, put a long line on your dog, get a good quality LOF vest or something of that nature, and be patient, and don't go running in there like you're gonna save the day, because the dogs are there to do their job, and then we're there to do ours. Putting them, when we start to interact a little too close with one another, our task, the dog task and the human task, that's where we run into trouble. So the takeaway from that is stay behind cover, long line your dog, have a good recall, because I probably could have recalled them if I had a line on them and I heard that knife. I probably would have just pulled them down the entire flight of fucking stairs. Mm-hmm. We could have avoided the whole thing.
We Ted and I've done training all over the country, and the disparity between leash usage around the country is crazy. We were in Texas, and there's some units down there don't use a leash of any kind ever. And then there's
I don't even think I have one.
Right. And there's some on the East Coast that everything is long line and behind cover, probably from learning from mistakes. The big thing that we have in this part of the country that other places don't is basements. And that's a whole nother thing that folks aren't used to, is dealing with the criminal's hiding spot, which is almost oftentimes in the basement. I had a lot of bites in the basements, and it's funny, we talk about, not even funny, but it's crazy how millimeters can change things. Like one of my closest friends, Bill, from the police department, but right before he became a canine handler, he was in the undercover unit, got stabbed in the back. Same thing, millimeters from he had, it was painful. He had some problems, but a couple millimeters to the one side, and he's crippled. And it's just weird how shit works. And the other thing that people don't really understand is how freaking hard a dog, German Shepherd especially, skull is. And you think but like our dog Jethro that got killed in 2016, yep. He took 5 rounds to the chest. They all went in and out. And then he took one square in the middle and it did not penetrate. Ultimately, the TBI that it caused, we believe, is probably what ultimately killed him. He just could not recover from it, but he got shot pretty close, straight in between the eyes and his forehead, and it did not penetrate his skull. I find that I was fascinated by that. And it sounds like, that cranium helped old boy. So how long were you guys off work from that?
So all in all, it only ended up being 6 months. It started out with 2 years, and then after a little bit went by, it was down to a year. And then I kept pushing myself, and I wasn't married or had kids, so I was able just to focus on myself. And I lived in a hospital for 3 months. I was in a regular hospital for a month, and then like a rehab hospital for 2. So, but one of the cool things was, our old canine handler ended up having like surgery on his toe. He had like a bunion removed or some shit, but he was out of work. He couldn't run or nothing. So he was able to go to work every day, and they assigned him on light duty to go to my house, pick up my dog once my dog got out of the hospital, because he was in the hospital for like 2 weeks, and then bring him to the hospital to see me. And the only days we missed was on the weekends when he wasn't working. But that dog spent just about every weekday with me, and he sat there while I rehabbed. I'd wheel my freaking wheelchair outside and throw the ball in him. It's just how it was.
That's pretty sweet.
And then we came back. Our first day back was one of the Olympics. So yeah.
That's a crazy turnaround from 2 years to 6 months.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised, K9 handlers. So the thing is, I think a lot of guys in the back of their mind are like, fuck, we got to get back to work or he's going to forget. He's not going to be the same. He's got to get, and you're probably pushing that 6 month window to try to get him back as much as yourself back into work.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was like, man, this dog's only like, shit, he was only 4 years old at that point. He only been on the road for like not even 3 years. So I was like, he's not even in his prime yet. I'm like, I got to get back to my ass back to work. Like, and we were killing it. Like we were getting tons of bites and fines. And I'm like, man, I got to get back to work. I got to, you just, because you see that when you know your dog's willingness to work and please and all that, it's like, I'm letting him down if I don't get my ass back to work. And, you get all the naysayers too over the years that are like, oh, you should have just retired, pensioned out, fuck this job, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I took it for a reason. Then I found a spot that I really enjoy. And, I like it. And, our time under the sun here is, there's no guarantee. So if I can make it back to do it, I want to do it. And, and honestly, like here I was with the dog that hated gunfire, and he sat through all my rounds and bit again. You know what I mean? So like, I was like, man, this shit's good. Like I got this,
So the guy who shot you, how'd that work out? So that would be a lot. But yeah, that would be a lot to unpack, to keep in.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're in the oh shit scenario, and it's it sucks, but like, he was trying to help me. He only saw the guy's back. You know what I mean? And rushing me, and there was nowhere for me to retreat. I had retreated. In fact, when my legs got taken out, my head hit the back wall. So, I had nowhere else to go. So I understand that he was just looking out for me,
Mm-hmm.
And listening to that story, and you kind of started out by saying, I want everyone to learn from, you said, you want them to learn from your mistake. And you were very candid about what those were. One of the things that Eric and I harp on at a lot of these seminars is we can't let the dogs drive tactics. And I see that a lot with people that, if I take the dog away from them, I was like, how would you do this without the dog? And they're like, and they kind of explain it. And I'm like, well, then do it sort of like that. But, you said
one of the things that you said, he's like, you stepped out from behind cover. One of the guys that had been to one of our seminars ended up in a situation chasing a murder suspect, and same thing. He did exactly what he knew he shouldn't have done. He stepped out and he caught 3 rounds, and the dog wasn't shot, but they ended up shooting that dude 14 times and he survived, and the dog ripped his bicep off, so that's cool. But and it's one of those things where when I'm watching it, especially in building searches and clearing exercises, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, where people are constantly trying to figure out what the dog is doing. And, even with the experienced canine handlers, I'm like, why are you watching the dog? Like, quit fucking and I say this all the time when we do integration stuff with guys that are non-canine. So how important, did that incident ever, how much training do you guys do with your patrol guys, and how used to working around the dog? Because you guys are active. I mean, active in not necessarily canine, but just East Hartford sounds like a lovely place with great street cafes where I'm sure nothing happens. But how often do you guys get to train with your just the normal patrol guys?
Not enough, but the way my agency works is we bid our shift and squad for a year. So what ends up happening is you form some real good cohesiveness with the squad you're on. So over the years, I went from being one of the junior guys on patrol with the dog to now being one of the most senior guys on patrol with the dog. And over the years, when you spend that much time with those guys, we had some really monumental years where you get one summer you get, a dozen bites in just like a summertime. It's just like you're rocking and rolling, and it's like everybody knows where to go and what to do. And you just know what units are coming from where, so-and-so said he's going to go this direction. And one of the other things I just got done doing was putting together a perimeter containment and little class for all new hires and the academies and stuff like that. And a couple of the guys brought it back to their own agencies, because all these towns are, they're set up so everyone's set up so differently. Like some guys, have 3 cops and one of them's the canine. So how do you really help out your canine handler? And to answer your question, it's just yes, we need more training with our patrol guys, but when you're able to spend time with them, other towns rotate. They may spend, one day they're with this group of 5 guys and then a new set of 5 guys on the same day. And then the following day, the new set of 5 guys is now the old set of 5 guys. So they're rotating guys in and out, and then they don't get that day in, day out routine with those guys. So I feel like the way, just because we're set up schedule wise, we have a phenomenal, just natural approach to things that just somehow comes together. And over the years, I've worked with because I always get stuck with new guys, and you have to sort of train them, coach them, and that they're the reason why I'm successful. I mean, yeah, it's because I'm OCD and I'm like, no, motherfucker, this dude is still out here. He's under a porch. He's under a tarp. He's here, and I'm going to kill myself trying to find him. And I'm not going to quit. Yeah, that's my mentality. But the thing is, those other guys are doing what I'm asking. And, canine handler's got to be a leader out there. It's your show. You could have a sergeant out there or a lieutenant or whoever, all the brass you want. But how many of them truly know what we need and where we need those resources? I mean, how many? Yeah. Not unless you were a former dog handler, now you're a sergeant on the road. Those are the guys I would trust. But and even then, some it's you still got to question it. But you gotta be a handler's got to lead, direct, and control out there when it's a dog call. And not respectfully, of course, don't overstep your bounds, but take charge. And then if we always use roll calls where we go over the shit the next day, whether we have a track where there was nobody found, or whether we got to find, or whether we got to find and bite, and we'll put it out there. And I think because our unit is so successful with the dogs, the bosses always let us have the floor at roll call, just to say who did a great job at what and where improvements could be made. And we've caught in and we got three guys for murder over the course with my two dogs so far, and not a lot of it has I'd say more so has been the group effort versus my effort. You know what I mean, that's important.
Yeah, and seniority helps too, man. When I got into the K9 unit, I had 9 years on the PD at that point, and so I wasn't a senior guy. But as I started going second, third dog, I'm one of the senior guys at every call. Now I'm more experienced. I've been involved in some serious shit up at that point, so it definitely they'll stop and listen to you, especially, and even some road sergeants. Well, hey, how do you want to do this? You know, what do you want to do? What do you need from me? Every once in a while, there was one guy who'd show up. I'd go, yeah, I didn't call for you. You can go ahead and go. That type of stuff. That was a sergeant. I would do that too. But I had the juice because I had I had some time on the job at that point.
And this brings up an interesting. So when we had done getting ready for this interview, like this finished your like write up and everything else, and you have over like 250 non-contact apprehensions, and I was talking with the sheriff's department today, and I was kind of talking about this. I was talking about you. I didn't mention your name, but just the interview we were doing tonight. It was like, this guy has 250 catches with the dog where he didn't bite him. And they're like, oh, that's great. I'm like, now, had the dog not been there, I don't know what those would have turned into because I don't know anything about any of them. But I do know that a lot of that is also not just him, it's the people he works with, because they were able to keep that guy contained and the dog was able to locate him and he gave up. Everybody went to jail and nobody went to the hospital and everybody went back to work, and there's no insurance being paid. There's no workman's comp. There's no time off. There's no bullshit. There's no desk time. Like, everybody just goes back to work. And they kind of got really quiet and they're like, how many? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm sitting here looking at my phone. I'm like, I don't know. It's like 256 or something is what it says right here between two dogs. And they're like, that's insane. How many bites did he have? That's kind of they said, how many bites did he have? I was like, that doesn't matter. I was like, that really doesn't matter, because the fact is it was still 250 people that were caught that wouldn't have been otherwise, or very likely could have not been. So, I mean,
one of my favorite dog calls that I was on, we were sitting watching a car that did an armed robbery in Hartford, and then a stolen car drove by and another guy picked it up, but they bailed, and I ended up, just because of where I was, I had to set the perimeter at an intersection, because I knew that if I went to the scene and started tracking, these dudes were going to break that perimeter and run towards the housing projects. So I had to set it. So just because you're a canine handler doesn't mean like help yourself out. You know what I mean? Like, you have to think in terms of cop first, in terms of perimeter containment. And then once you get it set to where you want it, where it's better, you're in the dog's chances. Okay, boom, a roll call came and took my spot, which it wasn't too long, but it was another 3 minutes maybe. Then I was able to go into my role as a canine handler. But if I didn't set that perimeter, and what's scary was one of the guns, one of the sets of latex gloves, and a mask was literally 15 feet in front of my car, behind a vinyl fence.
Oh.
So they came to the house that I was at, and I was fucking listening too, but there were sirens going off and there's engines roaring, and it still was only like 10 o'clock at night, and there's a lot of vehicular traffic. But I said to them, I was like, they were that close to me, so I know they were going to break that perimeter, and I would have probably never found them. Just they had a million places to hide if they got past me. So do what you got to do to help yourself out. If you got to set the perimeter and wait for somebody to come and relieve you, that's going to better your chances. Then do it, and then talk about that with your guys later, because if I didn't tell anybody what I did as setting the perimeter first, nobody else would have probably knew that I did that. So they understand that, like, okay, that's how it's got to be, because yeah, Todd was a dog guy. He found 4 on that one and got the bite and got 3 guns, but he set the perimeter and waited and had to fucking put time against them. But yet we pinned them down. Pin them down, they're yours.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
They got to go to ground. That's what I used to tell all the time. I'm like, if I commit a crime and I have, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes lead time on you, and I don't stop moving, you're not going to catch me. We need you to make them go to ground. And that doesn't mean driving around with your spotlight on, the perimeter and containment is a whole episode in and of itself. But
yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and take a break. We come back. We're going to shift over to, listen, we could tell stories with Todd for hours. But again, like I've said, we are not Joe Rogan. We don't do 3-hour podcasts. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. We come back. We're going to switch over to the training side of the house. Sounds to me like he's super passionate about it. And we'll get into what he's going to talk about in Blue Line. So we'll be right back. All right. We love the Perkinsons down in North Carolina at Highland K9 Training. They are great people, great trainers. They got a good business model. They're awesome folks. We've been with them for a long time. They're also super smart, and they understand that a lot of agencies are struggling to have manpower. So they're not sending people away for training. You guys have been there. You put in, denied, lack of manpower. So they've created an online course section of their website, tacticalpoliceK9training.com. You get on there under training, the online course. But here's the best thing is they offer a K9 supervisor course, which we know a lot of police K9 supervisors don't get to go to training. They don't know as much as they should. Right here online, the course discusses topics such as proper selection of dogs and handlers, proper deployment, effective allocation and utilization, as well as liability and the FLSA issues, which we know is where all the legal stuff comes from, interdepartmental. The course can be taken at your convenience, and you will receive a certificate of completion at the end. They're offering an amazing discount, guys. 30% off using the discount code WDR30. It's a no-brainer. If you're a police supervisor and you guys have manpower issues and you can't go, get on tacticalpoliceK9training.com under the training tab. Get on that supervisor's course, man. I'm telling you, it's a smart decision.
Another one of our favorite partnerships with the podcast here is the one and only Dogtra. The Dogtra guys have been producing some amazing tools in the dog training world for a long time. Everything from e-collars, GPS tracking, ball trainers. If it's electric and you use it with a dog, they've probably done it. They're the best. They are revolutionizing the way you communicate with the dog. I use it daily, whether I'm using pets. I use the 200C on most of our pets. Most of my patrol guys will use a 1900 hands-free, 1900S hands-free, and then I use the ball popper pretty much daily with all of our detection dogs for imprinting on our box protocols. So hit them up at Dogtra Official on Instagram and Facebook, and then you've got dogtra.com. And when you go there, if you use the discount code WDR10, they'll give you 10% off a single item over $200. So if you're looking at a 1900S or that Ball Popper Pro or one of those things, it'll knock a substantial chunk off there. So hit them up, doctor.com, WDR10.
So everybody knows that Ted and I not only train police dogs, we train pet dogs, right? We train dogs. So it's why our relationship with Ray Allen Manufacturing is so important. These guys have been doing this so long. They knew and they understand that dogs are dogs, and it's not just working dog people that need things for their dog and dog training. So you go to rayallen.com. They have everything dog related that you need. Anything that when it comes to dogs, pet dogs, your pet, training dogs, police dogs, dogs you're training for other departments, anything you need, rayallen.com. They've got it. You can get on there. So if you're ordering stuff for police dogs and if you have a pet side, you can get it all in one, man. They ship it out. Got a nice big box full of a whole bunch of stuff. There's nothing better than getting a big box of dog training stuff in the mail. They also are great to us, and they offer a discount code Working Dog Radio, all capital letters, Working Dog Radio for 10% off. Check them out, rayallen.com. Great people. Ted and I use them every day.
Super excited to have American Aluminum Accessories on board with us here at the podcast. These guys manufacture a wide variety of products, from high-quality cam locker toolboxes to an extensive line of products designed to meet the ever-changing needs of the law enforcement community. Around 1992, due to the demand for safe and secure transport for a local law enforcement agency's K9 unit, they introduced the very first in-vehicle Easy Rider K9 container. So it was basically what we now call just our inserts. They have continuously grown and expanded the products, catering to the needs and the wants of their valued customers and high-profile clientele, and catering specifically to law enforcement. Over the years, as the needs have changed for law enforcement, they've evolved and expanded the products to include inmate transport systems, the K9 training aids, which I use quite a bit of, K9 inserts. Every one of my guys has one of those things. And if you're not even have to be in law enforcement, I have several friends that are civilians that work lots of dogs that have the inserts put into their cars too. So if you got one that fits, you can do it. They also do contraband and animal control systems, just to name a few. So be sure to hit them up. The website is Easy Rider Online. So that's the letter E, the letter Z as in zebra, rideronline.com. If you're looking for them on Instagram and Facebook, it's American Aluminum Accessories. Feel free to hit them up there too.
So our first and oldest sponsor that's been with us from the beginning is Arno out at ALM, out there in Las Vegas area. Arno is a great dude. He makes great stuff for police work and sport work, suits, tugs. I'm telling you right now, his tugs are the best in the business. You can't get any better. Multiple colors. I buy boxes of them from him, give them out to everybody. I've got a bite suit from him. Love it. I've had it for a little over 3 years, and it's holding up like a champ. Ted's got a suit that he's had forever from ALM. We wouldn't go anywhere else, man. We love it. Arno is such a good dude. His ALMK9equipment.com is the website. Get on there. He's got pre-made suits. He can do custom suits based on your measurements. He's got stuff already made up. If you kind of get a kind of generic large size, maybe for everybody, the colors he has, man, is really cool. He can put a lot of stuff on those suits. Check him out, ALMK9equipment.com, and use the discount code WD Radio for 10% off.
Running a kennel is one of those things that I always worry about, is cleanliness and safety of dogs. And it seems like it's an ever-changing issue, being able to house dogs and move things around, everything else. So the guys at Horizon Structure make this as easy as possible. Literally, the only thing you have to do is have water and power hookups, and they deliver it, and you can put dogs in that day. And it comes on a trailer. They just drop it off. You plug it in, put dogs in it, and you're ready to rock. You keep them clean, you keep them safe, you keep them cool in the summer and warm in the wintertime. And it's completely custom. You can go mild to wild. I've seen some that were stainless steel all the way from top to bottom on the inside. And then I've seen some for a bulldog breeder that, had smaller gates because those things can't jump. So if you reach out to them, they're sitting there waiting for you to call and help you through the custom design process. They have everything from 2 dog ones up to, I want to say like 18 or 20. It's you can put a lot of dogs, indoor, outdoor runs. So anything you've ever dreamed of, they've got it, have done it, or can do it. So they've taken all the guesswork out of building it. Everything is pre-done to your specifications, and it's assembled, dropped off, boom, you're ready to rock. These things are amazing. Rigney has one. We've had him on the show a couple of times. Go check out his Instagram, and you can see he's posted it up there before. Go look Horizon up at Horizon Structures, spelled out. On the internet, it's horizonstructures.com, and you're going to look for the link in there that says commercial dog kennels, or give them a call, 888-447-4337. They'd love to talk to you and get you started on the way.
All right, we are back with Todd Mona from East Hartford, Connecticut PD, talking about an officer-involved shooting, and then talking about some successful no-contact apprehensions and the numbers. But so one of the things that our buddy Justin said, Justin Rigney, wanted to talk to you about was your building search stuff. So East Hartford has a lot of buildings. It's definitely not a rural area. So what you taught it last year or this year? I guess it's been this year. I don't know. Just fucking COVID has just turned 2022 or 1 or whatever year this is.
Yeah, it was this year.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It all kind of like run together. It's mush. So you had a building search class there. So let's talk a little bit about how you do it and what's going on. I mean, and then we'll kind of talk about how like the conventional means of doing it, because I see that all the damn time. So
I've been to I feel like I've been to, a million of these seminars, hits, I've been just so many over the years. Right. And I felt like there was always a little bit of the lacking on building searches, and I had a lot of bites very quickly. with my first dog with building searches. And then a lot of them, I feel like as time went on, got more and more serious. You know, it was like wanted party, you know, guns involved. So it ended up being a little bit of like a high risk thing. Right. And if you look at the building search, it's probably, it is, in my opinion, it is the most complex task that we ask of our dogs, because we cannot control the environment that we're in. There's going to be things that we don't know about the building or the place we're searching. So what I wanted to do was just create a class where I focused on the dog's hunt drive. I saw a lot of dogs with my first dog at trainings where there was no ranging, or you had the opposite effect where there was ranging and there was no searching. And that was a problem. And then a lot of times the guys would have to go shoo them forward, you know, like, okay, so your dog's not ranging. Now you're stepping foot into the building, you know, you're telling them to search, find the man, whatever your command is. You're exposed. This is training, but I know this is how it's going in real life for you. Like, how do you want to go on the road with that? And then as time goes on, you start getting into, you know, social media and YouTube, and you watch these videos and you're like, your dog is not searching. He's not hunting. He's not hunting for man. He's, you know, that was a default to narcotics, or, you know, that this dog is having avoidance to that room because of that floor. Like, a lot of times guys aren't picking up on these subtle little things that are occurring. And I wanted to create something where guys can stay behind cover. If they want to use a long line, they can. The system works with a long line. And if they don't, you don't have to, because one of the things I have in my tool belt now, that I could put a long line on them and search with a long line, or I could do it without it, or I can do it intermittently, you know, take it on, take it off, take it on, take it off. And I think everybody should have that in their bag, where their dog knows how to do a building search proficiently online and offline. I just think there's going to be situations for both. But it just focuses on the hunt drive. And one of the things that I keep having now as a trainer with people coming back to me is like, they're like, yo, Todd, my dog, you know, I felt like he was so much better at building searches, and now he's like regressing. Like, he's got floor issue, like his bites diminished on fucking building search. And so I'm like, okay, well, what do you guys got? What's your group doing? What's this, that, and the other thing? And I'm like, you did what? You know, it's like, I got to help you fix this. You know, like, these dudes go and try to find like the hardest spot to hide a guy and the most environmentally challenging bite they can do. And then they got nobody that's been to like a decoy course, and they just stick some schmuck in the suit. Maybe doesn't even have a dog yet. And they're like, all right, just scream when he bites you. And it's like, all right. So
after he went across the ladder over lava.
Yeah, exactly.
In the dark.
So, you know, some of the things they're not taking into consideration is on these deep fines and these crazy environmental bites is like, you know, there's several things that just occurred there that handlers should be aware of. And, you know, one is like, you know, the actual building you're using, the course that your dog is going to take to the decoy. There are going to be environmental challenges just doing that. And then it's going to be, you know, where the bite occurs itself, and then what the decoy does to your dog in that room. So you got a lot of factors there that you need to make sure are going to go correctly in order to keep building and pushing your dog in the building search arena. Because that's where a lot of guys are getting the regression from. You know, for example, I know there's a few guys that have approached me. They're used to going to a big training group. They're on those slippery, old-fashioned hospital 12 by 12 tile floors that are all asbestos based or something. They go down, the dog alerts in the closet, decoy pops the closet. It's tight as can be in there. He gives them a shitty fucking bite. The door closes on the dog, hits him in the tail. Then they got to compel the dog off the bite because they don't have an out. Then it's the next guy's turn to go. So the decoy stays in that tiny little room. They compel the dog off, and then they run down the hallway. So you just gave your dog a shitty bite. He had some pain involved, and now you're telling him he lost the fight after using compulsion to get them off the bike because you don't have an out, and you ran them out of the building. So you lost. And this is where guys are getting into trouble. So I took it a step back, and I'm a big fan of like the USPCA style boxes. And one of the things I do, and again, I'm obsessive compulsive with some of this shit, but like I initially put them in a straight line. Okay, so I have all 6 boxes out there. All right, and then I put a blind up, and the blind is like, a 6 foot high wall by 6 foot wide wall, or you could use a cruiser, whatever the case is. So I kind of basically have a hot start, which is the dog gets to see you, and you get to, depending on the dog, you may have to bait him into a little agitation, or if the dog gives you some sort of forward act of aggression, he barks you away. So now you're setting him in prey because, the dog just is like, yeah, fuck you, I'm going to bring this fight to you. So he flees, and then he gets pulled behind the bull. We started on leash, and it's basically those 6 boxes are just the imprinting for human odor. Okay, so everybody who does narcotics, right, we use boxes or tubes, right? It's the same philosophy. Like, why aren't we doing that for human odor when we do it for everything else? You do it for explosive, you do it for narcotic, you do it for everything. So let's do it for human odor and take away our environmental stressors, because we're out here on a field now, right? The USPCA guys are always that little thing they do with their boxes. They're fast as fuck. They check, they do all the things. They look fancy and pretty, but the theory behind it that I agree with is that the dog learns to search independently, check until he knows. And then they even throw in stagnant odor, right? So we can get to that later on. So, in case somebody moves from one part of the building to another, or if you're like, hey, you got a house around it and you pull some people out, there's a fountain there, and you get to go, not in the house of yours, there's someone in there, then you got stale odor, and then you got the one spot with the bleeding odor from the bad guy. So a lot of little things it teaches the dog. But the progression is to start straight line, hot starts where there's a visual and audible to kind of get the dog worked up. And then the handler goes down and runs down with the dog tapping on the boxes during the imprinting phase. And I make sure these guys have an alert, vocal alert before we do this sort of stuff. But the beauty of it is that the alert just sort of it comes right away with these. And then we go down to a warm start where, like, my Malinois that I train, because I have a hodgepodge. Like, I got dogs from like Shallow Creek. I still got dogs from Castle. I got Connecticut K9. I got Black Rock. I got dogs that were raised. So I get to see. I have some sport dogs that were, bought at an early age. So like, I get a wide variety, and it's just good that I'm able to make sure that it works for every single dog that has come from all different walks of life, is what I'm saying. And then the warm start is that the Malinois will not get a visual. He'll just hear the audible. So he's got to go right into using his nose. And then maybe you get a weaker shepherd where, he's not as confident. He's still building him up, and you want him to just see the decoy who's going to run and flee and get into one of the boxes. And, he gives him a little bark, a little like, yeah, what do you want? And then bang, right, the decoy takes off. So again, we set him in prey, like I just mentioned. And then we go eventually to a cold start where the dog gets nothing, and the handler can either stay behind cover and not have to move, or you can put the line on him, let him hit boxes 1 and 2, down him, off, whatever you want to use for your command. And then you move up to box 2, and you repeat that until you get to the end of the box 6s or wherever you put the guy. And then, of course, the man who's hiding is always a variable. So they know to check every single box, because the dogs, if he misses one, then he's got to backtrack. So they learn to check the boxes, and it translates directly into, doors in the building. And, in my opinion, I took it a little further too. Last couple of years, we put one of the boxes up on pallets. So now I'm teaching a high find before you ever get into the building. So the dog knows that odor can come from high. Okay, so you don't have to waste an actual search with environmental and have the dog sort of figure it out there. He's like, oh yeah, boom, this is a box. There's human odor coming from this. It's just coming from high. So that's taught as a precursor to entering the building. And then find a spot where you can get one of these boxes into a hole in the ground, and you get in it like a submarine. So now you taught them a low find. Same thing. And you can run through your hot starts, cold start, warm starts, and cold starts. So now everything that should be or can come across in real life in terms of odor flowing inside of a building, you've exposed them to it. And during these phases, you can sort of control how high you want to build their hunt drive. So if you get some dogs that, they come to real quick and they start to get wicked vocal. They're like, yep, this is my game. I love it. I love it. And then it's like, okay, we're going to start working on capping now. You're going to conserve your energy and we're going to work on capping here. So you've done pretty much everything on these boxes that can now get into your building searches with. And then with my building searches, I start with certain buildings in a certain sequence. I also changed those boxes all around, different shapes. I put them pyramids, 3x3. You could teach directionals. I started flirting with that a little bit, where you maybe put 4 boxes on one side of the field in a straight line, and then you put 2 way off to the right. So if you want to teach your dog to start learning some directionals, if you're in a building, you want to pair that with an e-collar or something, with some sort of combination with the e-collar, you can start teaching them directionals. It all, and then of course it also helps the dogs out with area search, but more importantly, it's for the building search.
So real quick on the boxes, when I got in K9, we were USPCA. They still have boxes. We had, and I'm the same as you. I'm a big believer in it. The boxes we had at the time, they have a slit on. There was on, say, the south and north side, and it would depend on which side that we would run them on based on where the wind was going. I think it did equate also to getting that sniff at the bottom seam of a door. I don't know about you. We were using it, and I still did for a long time, using to teach the bark equals bite. Bark, 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 pop. But those boxes were there when I got there. Then we had them for a long time. They were made of plywood, painted white. They served great. Every year, if you hadn't used them in a while, you had to get all the spiders out of them bitches first before you went to use them. But what happened was, what I really liked was ours was a top load. So if we were doing bark equals bite, sometimes we would just do civil stuff out of it, pop out, no equipment, dicking with the dog. You had to trust the guy on the line that he, everybody was on the same page, because your timing's got to be good. But we would pop out of the top. Well, over time, those boxes got old and, rotted and everything. And we spent a fudge load of money on the those Lexan or whatever you would call them, plastic boxes, a lot of money. And they are they didn't hold up very well, but they're a side load. They had a little door on the side. And so the decoy is like squatted down in there. And if we were going to do the same thing, bark was bite, you're popping a little side door, and then you have to feed it because you're like squatted down. Your face is right there. I hate them. And maybe I just wasn't really doing it correctly, or wasn't doing it the best. I liked it better come out of the top. How are you guys' box set up, and what do you prefer?
So actually, the Hometown Foundation just built us new ones for the competition, and they're made out of AZAC and reinforced on the inside. They're like unreal. And they're like 1/2 inch thick too. Like they should be lasting us like 10 years. Like no joke.
The top.
So the dudes love it when you say, "Hey, let's move these
yeah.
into that
400-pound box." Yeah.
How many fucking pallets? Screw you, dude.
I prefer the door only because that's a sight picture that's they're gonna see in the real world. So and here's the thing, like I'm gonna name drop. So. And of course, everything we do is to build up to HRD, right? That's my goal, is that all the shit that we do in training is that, like, if we get your asses out here, like, you guys are going to have to really start to think of new shit, So that's the goal. But so it's controlled. Like, yes, we do the door pop, and then you got to be careful. I got bit in an accident where I jumped in the box with some snow. I kicked a lot of snow in between the door and where we're supposed to latch, and Pepperoni ended up getting me and taking me in the bicep. That it was snow was the factor that was not taken into account. But we typically do it now where we use Justin's power biting method. You know, dog's in harness. He's alerting. The handler's got to run down there. So it's a variable again. Like if we do box one, the dog may only have to bark like one or two times because the handler's right there. And then he's going to go into that power biting system, right? So you're inside the box, door pops, and then it's, you know, back pressure, you know, pocking the man, bang, yes, good. And it, you know, it goes from there. So that power biting system, we do it when we get into the buildings. If we have a pole in a room or if we have a solid desk or something that's solid, like we do a deep find, bang, decoy takes the initial. He just goes, grabs the like the line, and he hooks the dog up. So he's working the dog in there, and we're still running down the hallway. But now the dog has back pressure, and he's working it just like you would on a bite table. He's working it just like you're posting out. And to me, that is, you know, that is going to get rid of, you're just going to get better. You're not going to have any errors and all this other shit that goes on with some of these guys that are coming back and they're saying, well, hey, my dog was chewy and he came off the bite. Well, yeah, because, you know, you're taking the foundation out and you may be moving too fast, or, you know, there's other variables that you can't account for because you're not there. And that's why decoys got to always be honest with the handlers. And I know it sucks taking bites. We got one guy right now that's trying to get our next dog, Jason Hawley. He's a really good decoy now. And, you know, one thing I tell him is you always got to be honest. Like if a dog, it has a weak grip or something, there's a reason why that dog had the weak grip on that bite. So tell us. So we may have to, you know, put him on the line that's tied out inside the room. So he gets bark, or he's in a, you know, an open room behind a corner of a desk or tucked in real nice. There's going to be something there that is going to be the default. If the dog is starting to have an issue, it goes right back to what the dog knows, and you're able to recapture him without having him regress.
I can tell you, I've done a million building searches as the trainer, as a handler, and as the decoy, and I have never had a line already staged in the room. I like that idea. You know,
area searches too. Even area searches are even better just because you got trees. It's just like, you know, you can,
it's easy.
Set up 2 or 3 of them, and, you know, whatever one you get close to, it's fine.
One of the scenarios that Ted and I have done all over the place could potentially, depending on how you deploy the dog, your dog could be on the bite for about 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah. And that's where we find that guys definitely don't do long-term bites, but that's where that shit would really work. Because there's been times where the handler finally catches up to where his dog is, and the dog's sitting next to the decoy because he's just done. 2-3 minutes is his maxed out time, which also then goes back to teaching an out the guys that are only letting their dogs bite for, you know, 10 seconds because we got to run down the field and get them off the bite, or run down the hall.
We do some long bites, and if guys do work on long bites, if you ever see your dog just like lay down, but it's still on the bite and driving, don't take that as a weakness because he's just conserving his energy to keep the fight going.
I know some people are like, no laying down on the job. I'm like, look, dude, you do it.
I'm on my fucking hands and knees. Like it says the decoy and the dog decides to lay down. I'm like, oh God.
You ever see
we both just settle
MMA
in, and I'm
fighters?
like, every time he bites me, like my soul leaves my body, and I'm like, oh my God. And I mean, that's what, you know, and when I have to decoy that one, if I have a dog that does that, I'll provide opposition. Like I'll lay down on my back if they're on an upper body bite, and I'll put them in basically a guard, and I'll provide opposition. I'll pull back with my legs, and then I'll let them regrip, and I'll reset, and I'll just work their grip for, I don't know, 6-7 minutes, just like that. If I have to, if I don't have a line in the room, or whatever. But I mean, and that is something that, you know, when we're at these seminars that I one of the things that makes those great is we generally have very good decoys there. And I tell people, I'm like, I can't see what's going on in the room. Like I need, like, what happened? And I point at the decoy. I'm like, tell him what happened. And, you know, he said, oh, well, this or that, or, you know, the dog did this, or this happened. And I'm like, well, okay. So like, I didn't know. I mean, you got to tell me. So
yeah, you're right. You definitely touched on it. You got to have the decoy be honest. not an asshole about it, but be honest with it, because sometimes in some of these scenario things that we're doing, the building search scenarios that we're doing is where we have found dogs that needed to be removed from the road, where we have pulled the handler aside and said, look, dude, you seem like a real good guy, man. You're really trying here. This is not the dog, like, at all. And we'll talk to your brass for you. And you probably know this already, and we've had to step in, but it's usually in a building search type scenario. The other thing I want to talk to you about, and this is, listen, I've been guilty of this too, and this all comes back from when I started in K9, is we have a large training group. We're trying to get guys through the scenarios. One of the biggest mistakes that we made over the years was it's training, stand in the middle of the hall, give your warnings, and send your dog. The first time then that they do it from cover, oftentimes they see their dogs like turn back and look at them and shit the bed, or, come back to them or act weird. Was that something that you noticed early on, or were you guys switched on from when you first started? Because I can tell you we were not.
So you're saying once you had to be behind cover, the dogs reacted differently?
Yeah, because they never saw it. Because at training, all we did was stand in the middle of the hallway, give your warnings, send your dog.
Fuck around with your leash, stand in the doorway.
No, it's not an issue. In fact, I just added this summer. So I went down and I spent some time with Doug Wanamaker at Astro K9 down in Greenville. Wicked, like, just the wealth of knowledge, wicked tactical guy too. But his tactical approach to the building search is good. And I just basically added an entire step about clearing so where we would stand to start the building search at that door, he's making you start, if it's an entrance to a house and you have a tree that's 20 feet away, you're going to clear from that tree behind cover the doorway so that you don't go up to the doorway and get shot through, the side of the house. Right. Or, you're clearing that main entrance way. So we started doing that where, okay, my dog's on the line. It's 20 feet to that door. I got 30 feet of line here. Dog goes up, clears in, now 10 feet, 8 feet into the house. Recall them. Nothing there, guys. Now we can go forward and start our building search. So it's a safer approach, I guess. You know what I mean? But I had never really thought of that because we were just weren't operating that way. So when the situation dictates for something like that, that's another thing that we just have done. We just did it, I think September, October, or August, September. But it's now incorporated into our bag of tools. And I think a lot of this has to do with, too, when the dogs get so numb to constantly switching environments, always using different buildings, different floors, different sights, sounds, smells. I do all my in-services evening shift for the most part because I want a little bit of daylight and then mostly at night. And I want everything low light. Our tracking is nighttime. Our building searches are dark or low light for the most part, that to the point where they just get numb to this shit. So if they see or sense something that's out of the ordinary, it's just, it makes no difference because everything we do is just constantly switching it up for them in terms of the environment. So if we operate a little differently, hopefully that they don't even pick up on it, or they're just like, okay, well, this is just another building. Maybe it's something we do differently here.
Yeah. One of the big mistakes guys make is believing that in training, the training days, the building search is just a dog exercise. And so they just look, we did a big, huge building scenario in Albany, New York. And we had guys that we told them there's 3 dudes in the building for sure. 3 dudes. They see the first guy take off. They send their dog and walk down the middle of the hallway. Good boy, down the middle of the hallway, and then get Hulk smashed from behind by one of the 2 other guys. We told you there was 3 dudes in there, but they're like, yeah, but this is dog training. It's not for me. It's for the dog. And so then they don't believe that will then translate when they're on the road. that they won't walk down the middle of the hall, and that they won't be yelling good boy to the dog and fucking with their leash when they're in a building with potentially 2 other people in it.
You know, I tell you what, we've caught a ton of shit when we first did that one and put it on fucking social media. We caught a ton of shit for it for some not necessarily valid reasons, and then like kind of in the postscript, that there's 2 exercises that we do with these seminars. That one that Eric is talking about, and there's one other one that we don't ever talk about that we do that have what I think I call singular learning events. And I can't count the number of times that Eric or myself or Ray or whoever has gotten inboxes or text messages or something, and they're like, I had to do this, and I thought about this scenario, and I was like, hold on a second. And I'm like, you know what? If having contact with one, and this is the argument that I make to people, if having contact like that with one scenario for anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes, 6 months later makes you evaluate the decisions that you're making in real time, then somebody did their job. And, you know, and they're like, I definitely remembered making that mistake. And it's a singular learning event. So, I mean, I believe me, I yell at handlers all the time, and I'm like, what are you doing? And there's very few times, like, we'll let them kind of like make some mistakes, but if it gets weird, I stop. Like, we'll stop it and we'll say, hey, let's do this correctly. Like, it's obvious you don't know what's going on here or what the dog should be doing, what you should be doing. Like, let's stop and let's back up and let's do this correctly, and we'll make this a little easier and whatever else. So, it's a good point that Eric brings up.
When you started teaching this stuff, figuring it out and teaching it, and like, hey man, we're going to do this. We're going to start from a position of cover from the beginning. Was there some growing pains from people that have been around for a while that are like, no, listen, I'm just going to give my warnings and stand in the middle and send the dog? Because I see that still all the time.
Yeah, it's like some of my closest buddies too. You know,
they're going to hear this.
It doesn't apply to them, and I'm like, well, you know, I mean, I can't make you go home safe at the end of the day, but like, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, well, taking a step back, the first thing is, you know, when you start with the boxes, it's all about the dog, but it simplifies being in a building for the handler too, right? Because he's just using a box as a source of cover when you're doing it with the long lines. You know what I mean? Like you can't simplify it and dummy it down anymore. You're outdoors. You have 5, because you're not going to hide behind the last one, right? You have 5 sources of cover. If you can't get it right and hide behind a box there, I think the department should probably pick a new handler. So
there's 100 other jobs in law enforcement. Go pick it up.
Yeah, you know, I mean, but so you start there, and then you break the actual search down to just, you know, the announcements, the search and the hunt, the alert, and the fight. That's all the dog. The tactics are really the only thing you got to worry about on their end. So,
do you ever use that blind as a start spot for the handler?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time, because my personal preference, and I don't know how many, I'd have to go back and actually count, but if I had to guess, I bet you like maybe 40, 30, somewhere in there. I've been on bites on building searches. So I know I want to stay where I'm comfortable. Do you know what I mean? So the blind is my comfort. That would be outside of a house or a building, or where the breach was on a burglary, right? So I want to stay there, and because I know I'm safe. I got my backups with me. I got guys all around the perimeter of the building. You know, that's where I want to be. We put ourselves into danger when we have to step in, and there's going to be times where you have to step in. Like I said, we can't dictate, you know, where we search. But then there's other things we can use, like you can put the line, take the line on, take the line off, or e-collar. For me, page is a silent down. I grabbed that from some of the military guys. So if I get into a large building and I'm behind cover and I'm not saying, you know, here, down, plots, food, whatever, I should just page you, because I now have eyesight of you. Yes, it sucks if you're exposed, but at least I know my dog is, and he's not going to get hurt I can move up because I know he already proficiently cleared this area. And then
have you guys started, one of the nice things that I like about the boxes and so I have at my facility now, I have a little simunition shoot house, and it's designed really for the tactical guys and the K9 guys, very basic stuff. And a lot of times the doors are offset so we can go left, right, a pattern, right? And we do that with the boxes and things like that. Have you guys tried dicking around with any of the laser directional stuff at all?
Yeah, I actually got a laser for one of the dogs in my group, and it's because we only see each other twice a month, and we just did a 3-day tracking seminar last month together. I kind of got away from the laser, but I really want to finish it up with that dog because he's a great dog. He's got an incredible nose, and what he likes to do, he's one of those dogs that's like, Dad, I went down around the corner, I checked all my shit, and now I'm going to come back and look at you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not like the handler's talking to him or sucking him in to like bring the dog back. The dog just likes to check in. And the problem is once he checks in, he might know exactly what room it's in and maybe even come back. And that's my fear. Yeah. So I'd rather have the handler be able to direct him where to search in like a larger building and move forward so that the dog doesn't come back. And then I bet you any money, we'd probably be able to get away from the laser at that point just because the dog is going to, understand that I can move and do my thing and not have to always rely on looking back at Dad. So,
yeah, after we did an episode here about lasers, and I went and got the laser. Who was the guest? Ted, you remember?
Matt?
Yeah.
Matt Yoder?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, right. My buddy from Charlotte.
What's his name? What's his name?
Matt Yoder. He's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got I got the laser, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna start fucking with that. Thing's been sitting in the seat caddy in my van for now 2 years. I got it. I need to get out and mess with it. And it's funny you say that. So my fourth dog that I work Loco, Mal, you send him out, he would go to a certain distance. If there was no human odor, he checked really well. He would come back. Problem was then I would have to take ground for sure up to a cover point, and then he would go then. But once he got the human odor, he was not coming back. We used to do it a lot in our impound lot because we had a lot of break-ins and stuff in our impound lot. So we would train. He would go about 5 rows, would get no odor, come back to me. I'd see where he stopped. Me and back up, we would train. We'd move up, and then he would go out. And then once he got odor, he was gone, flying through the windows, doing all the biting. Same thing with buildings.
So that's the same thing that Milo will do. If he gets the odor, he commits usually. But here's that maybe he does. Maybe just things aren't flowing right in the building, and he's really close, and just and then draft is going one way, and then he comes back, and then the next thing you know, you push up. So I'd rather have him check.
Yeah, so the tough part of that too is as you're taking ground, you have to have a group of guys with you that understand how to backfill rooms and check as you're going through. And that's, like you said, you don't get to work with your guys in training that much, your shift guys and stuff. So that part can be tough. So anyways, I just looked, we're coming up on a couple hours here. So anyways, a Blue Line this year, Ted and I will be instructing on our scenario-based training. Todd will be there doing his building search class. We will probably have a Working Dog Radio booth. We'd love you to come over and hang out. And everybody will be like, hey, yeah, that's the building search guy. Let's get him a beer. There's some shrapnel to catch at the Working Dog Radio booth from more beers than we can drink. But so I noticed you are newly elected vice president of the Connecticut Police Work Dog Association. Is that also a 501c3 that people donate to? Yes,
we do take donations. Yes.
How do they do that?
That's a good question. So right now we have a couple different. COVID really fucked everything up. So we actually had a bunch of stuff on hold, and the new board is basically working on some things. If you go to our website, Connecticut Police Workdog Association.com, you can check a bunch of different stuff there. Some stuff needs some updating. I don't even know if I'm on there yet, but if you have any questions or, you know, you can donate to CPWDA. It always goes back to all membership for training, like, you know, Eric and Ted, stuff like that. Brigney guys that put on great classes. We usually bring several people out a year before COVID hit. So now we're just trying to get back on track with fundraising and all that stuff. But and again, the other thing was Hometown Foundation.
That's
Foundation.
Crazy. I never heard of it.
Yeah, it's huge. Like if you go to their website and you look at like the 40 acres they got and all the polo matches and horses they got, and then the hundreds of Lamborghinis that I will never be able to afford just come rolling in, and it's sick money, man. It's stuff I'll never even understand.
So after this comes out, you'll get folks that are going to call you or want to get a hold of you to talk to you about maybe clarification or maybe even, hey, I'm over in Buffalo. You think come up and do something like on social media? I know you don't do a ton, but how would anyone get a hold of you?
Yeah. So I know I need to be better at social media. It's just, you know, it's tough right now because, you know, I work for the agency and I don't want to really go too crazy with it. So
yeah, that's tough.
But, I mean, I'm under Facebook on my real name. I don't got no weird name, but it's my real name, Todd Mona. We also have East Hartford Police K9 on Instagram. Those are the two best ways. Just send me a message on Facebook. I get back to everybody as soon as I can. But yeah, the building search course that I got, I mean, obviously we were only able to touch on it. It's a lot more in depth, and I'd love to be, I put on several classes for it. So if anybody that's close by or, you know, wants to get interested in it, I can show you some videos and stuff and the formula and how it kind of works, and real beneficial, I promise.
Yeah, I'm looking at up on Instagram, the East Hartford PD K9. So if you guys look that up, I know we've been following each other on there for a while. But yeah, they show you guys do it right. Nobody's getting in trouble based on what you put in there. It's a slippery slope. I doubt we'll ever see you dancing with your dog on TikTok, which is pretty sweet. Yeah.
No, we refrain. We really only put, you know, limited exposure on that stuff. You know, I mean, we just did pork loin bites again last night. I mean, we get into some of the real stuff. I mean, I could talk to you guys about it, but you know, I don't want it going out there.
Yeah, I got you. So, man, it was great having you on. It's a long overdue, but it's nice to hear some of the stuff going on. Busy agency. Again, there's stories that we could have got into that we didn't get into just because we ran out of time. But there's another story of you dog getting another bite during a gunfight, and so it's a wild career, and it sounds like you still got a lot going on. So the dog, real quick, the dog that's the puppy that's you're raising up with in the back of the cruiser now, is that going to be for you?
So right now, Steve's our senior handler. Actually, his dog Hades was the male. He actually just passed away last week with cancer, but he was 13, did about 11 years on the road.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think he had close to 30 bites. So he did pretty well. Steve did a good job with him for sure. But we're working on, being able to finish our careers with the dog. So if we have to repurpose one from him to us, that's the goal. We have a really good candidate lined up if we don't, but we're hoping to.
Yeah, you still got some years left in the boy in your car. So
yeah. And then, like I said, I got some young kids, so I got a long way to go before I can quit. So if I got to figure out something to do after this. So
yeah, I started young with kids just to get it out of the way. So
I just never started.
Yeah, so mine are.
Yeah. There you go. I have nieces. It's cool.
Ted, where about you? How can people find you?
Ted_Summers on Instagram. Facebook is Ted Stickles. So you can find me there. Instagram is work. Facebook is not. So there's that. Torchlight K9, letter K number 9, Torchlight Pets. If you want to watch me train doodles, and we just sent 2 Pomeranians home that live together. That was fun. They look like angry cotton balls. And I have a Shar-Pei right now for an attorney here in town, the defense attorney, who the dog is gnarly. Man, he's a dick. He is funky for sure. And then HRD Police K9, and then of course working_dog_radio. I think we're gonna do because of COVID last year we didn't do it, but I think we're gonna do a Christmas thing this year. I don't know. By the time this uploads, we'll have an answer to that. But if we do, it'll be there and on the Facebook and on the Patreon too. So
that's where I'll learn about it because
exactly.
So Ted and I have no say in any of that.
No, I just tell jokes and drink beer. So and you are where? Van Ness K9?
Yeah, Van Ness K9 Instagram. Ridgeside K9 Ohio on Facebook is the pet side. Here's the funny thing. So I was just down in Texas for Thanksgiving. My wife and daughter, we flew down there to see my son and spend Thanksgiving with him. It's going to be a new tradition, going somewhere different every year. We do this grocery store down there offers this whole thing where we pre-ordered a Thanksgiving meal, went on Thursday, picked it up. It's all cooked. Dude, it was it was really good. I loved it. I think we were on to something. But while we were gone on Friday, Amanda, who's our manager, she had to manage the daycare, and we were doing holiday pictures. We brought a photographer in and had a backdrop and fake snow and all this other shit, dude. I was watching the surveillance cameras, and I'm like, I am so happy that I am not there. It was a 4 or 5 person operation. I was like, one, we had people coming in that weren't at daycare that day. We had random people coming in. It was absolute insanity. The pet side of my business has become a daycare that offers training instead of a training company that has daycare. When we moved locations, it exploded to where I just signed a lease on another building across the parking lot to move the training over there because the daycare has to expand. And so don't go to that page and look at it. Just go to Van Ness K9 on Instagram and check us out. So Todd, anyways, man, thanks for coming on. We're going to try to get over to see David over in Connecticut, and he wants me to come over and see the place and talk some business stuff with him, and maybe, start doing some collab. But I'd like to try to get over there before Blue Line, but it might not happen. So
you just let me know.
Yeah.
Well,
fun.
I just want to say thank you guys again very much. You've had some incredible people on your shows, and I'm incredibly honored to be asked to be a part of it. And hopefully I could see you guys before Blue Line. If not, we'll be drinking beers.
Yeah, this is going to be a well-received episode. I can already tell. We have a pretty good gauge as we're doing the interview, how we think it's going to be received. This will be a real good one. So don't be surprised if we have you come back on. So
Yeah. Oh, sure.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
Take care.